you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show, coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Now, for those of you joining as you take your morning breakfast, sitting back, taking your morning meditation, and even to those of you tuning into the radio, thank you so much for choosing Tobago Updates to start your morning on the right note. I am Luke Trim.
And I am Kaylee Lewis. Good morning, Tobago. And in case you're wondering, Rhea and Julian have the morning off, so that's why you're seeing Luke and I here this morning. TGIF, Luke. Thank God it's Friday.
God it's Friday.
What is your Friday vibe like?
You know, the Friday vibe is, you always look forward to being unemployed from Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. And, it's just that time to unwind and not have to worry about work, not have to worry about having to get up early and all this stuff. You just relax, spend some time with some friends, closer time with your family. We always love a Friday, The great Pastor Sonia Whitlock, she always says it's what? Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
So what does Friday mean to you, Kaylee?
Well, as I said, being able to come home and, you have the weekend off, not having to wake up early. I think that's the biggest part for me. Having to wake up early Monday to Friday, that is very, very stressful.
It is.
So being able to wake up late on Saturday, wake up late on Sunday. Well, Sunday I have to wake up early to go to church. But sometimes on Saturday, mommy wake you up early with a sort of music and cleaning.
The Tasha Cubs and so on.
Yeah, I can't do that at all.
And Fridays are always extra special when you get paid on a Friday. You just pull your best school workers and go by a bar. Which is your number one bar to go and lime on?
Well, our after work limes are usually at Barcode.
Barcode
I'm not sure if we're going there this evening. But most of the times we go to Barcode for after work limes.
Barcode food hits.
All the time.
I think I'm feeling for it. I really need to go there this afternoon.
Yeah, for sure.
So yes, viewers, we are here on Friday, just your favorite youth host, and we're gonna switch over to another familiar youthful face. So now we will be having the news in 90 seconds with Chanel Felix.
Thank you so much, Luke and Kaylee. And here's your news in 90 seconds for Friday, the 19th of May, 2023. A husband and wife are dead following an accident along the Claude Noel Highway yesterday. According to reports, Fire Officer Christian Adams and his wife Teresa Allen Adams were traveling along the highway on their way to pick up their 3 kids from Hope Anglican School around 2 p.m. The vehicle collided with a truck laden with material in the vicinity of the Botanical Gardens. The truck landed on their vehicle, flattening it and crushing the couple. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. Additionally, Minority Leader Kelvon Morris questioned the THA about the construction of the connector road from Sherburne Junction to Storbay Local Road, which was announced early this week. He alluded to corruption in the contract arrangement with California Stockholm Company Limited and questioned whether the EMA had approved them to go ahead on the project. In response, the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James, denied the accusations and said the project had been embarked on since 5 years ago, before his time in office. Approvals for its construction was given in June 2021, along with 3 other major road construction under a design-build finance arrangement. However, James explained that they chose to stagger the start date of the contractor of the connector road so that future payments could also be staggered. And finally, the Privy Council ruled that it was illegal for the government of Trinidad and Tobago to delay the local government elections while they were in the process of reforming it. The case was taken to the Privy Council by opposition activist Ravi Balgobin Maharaj. The ruling delivered by the UK Supreme Court President Lord Robert Reid determined that the government acted against the law by not calling the election when it was due. They also ruled that the new laws would not affect current office holders, only future ones. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Back to you, Luke and Kaylee.
Thank you very much, Chanel, for that excellent read of the news. And guys, touching on the incident that occurred yesterday with the couple that died, this is family, this is people that I grew up around, and to hear the news, when I got the news, it was just unbelievable. And I want to send out a huge condolences to the rest of the family of both couples. It's really difficult. I always say that that is one thing, you hear about that, it is inevitable, but that is always different when you have to sit at the front row and you have to go to the funeral home and choose the coffin and, you have to wake up every day and realize that the person that you spend so much of the time with your life with, they are no longer there. So condolences to the family. You know, they were two amazing people. They were really, really nice people, and it's sad. It's extremely sad.
Well, look, you know, we want to extend our condolences to you and your family. Of course, we know that you were related to them. You want to make sure that you and your family are, you know, just stay close to God, stay close to each other during this time. As you would have said, death is most definitely inevitable. But I think it's a reminder that we need to stay close to each other, stay close to God.
Yes.
You know, because you never know what your portion is. So you need to, I mean, death could happen at any time. Death could happen at any time. So we need
suddenly.
So suddenly. So we need to make sure that, you know, we're there close to God all the time.
Yes, to keep that relationship with God and even the relationship with those around you, because it's always important to tell the people that you love them while they still can hear you and appreciate that. So viewers here, stay close, just stay close. And so we're gonna move into the birthdays. Who's first on our list? So
this is your birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
Alright, so first on all this, we're sending out a happy birthday to Miss Khadija Holder. Happy birthday to you, and I hope you enjoy your day today. Who's next on all this, Kaylee?
Next, we have Mr. Stefan George. Happy birthday going out to you, Mr. George, from Miss Big Updates family.
And lastly,
birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
From the experts that created the Zinger sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger.
The only one I see is you.
Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
Alright, viewers, and you know it's always a vibe here at Tobago Updates. You always have a packed and interesting segment for you, so let's share. So this morning we'll be bringing on firstly tutor president, that's Mr. Brandon Roberts, to speak a bit about what's been happening in our educational space. Next, he will be followed by Jada Thomas and Roxanne Lane as we speak about Family Planning Association as they are in Tobago. And to end things, we'll be bringing on Mr. Anderson Alfred to talk about safety on our roads. So viewers, that is what we have here. And Kaylee, before we go over to Tobago in Focus, you know, we have to tell our viewers to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Good health starts with good nutrition. The Division of Education, Research and Technology understands this, knowing that the future of Tobago lies with the nutrition of our children. The school nutrition policy is being developed for this purpose.
We must understand that the child is a whole being. What the child consumes matters. We do have a lot of wastage with particular meals as well, so we want to bring everything in a streamlined and organized manner so that we are most cost effective in our school nutrition program.
The policy, which is being examined and developed by a multi-departmental team from the division, as well as food and nutrition stakeholders, will seek to reduce waste, provide cost-effective measures, as well as establishing quality standards for meals and the stakeholders who create them.
We're also going to be reviewing the cost, the pricing, criteria for children to access the meals, because that has sort of gotten out of control a little bit over the years, moved away from the original objectives, and also the criteria for selecting and for maintaining your services as a caterer, because you have to maintain a standard.
The committee has been given a 4-month deadline for the full rollout of this policy. Technical advisor at the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Natasha Second, said work is well underway and encouraged principals, teachers and parents to participate in the process when the need arises.
We want to have policies that are very clear. policies that are very pragmatic. They're not going to simply be academic documents that are stuck in a cupboard. We want persons who work throughout the system to be able to move towards an improvingly higher quality education product, because we can measure exactly where we're going. So we want it to be transparent, and we want to have high levels of accountability throughout our entire system.
Morning and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Now, a salary increase is something that we all look forward to hearing during our working tenure, and thankfully, we've been seeing it in our educational system. Now, joining us this morning to speak about this recent salary increase is Mr. Braden Roberts, Tutor President. A special morning to you, and how are you doing this morning?
Hi, good morning, and it's Tobago officer. Yes, it is good news for some. That we are able to close negotiations we have been waiting for several years. This is from 2014 to 2017 period, in 2023. However, the quantum is not satisfactory to our members. And I mean, a lot of persons may see tutor as losing in this particular regard and the government winning. But in reality, we all have to live in this one Trinidad and Tobago. And based on the hardship of the economy will determine how we all survive, how the crime rate is handled. So it's not something to be looked at as a win or a loss for any particular side. It's how it's going to impact persons' lives going forward.
I agree with that, Mr. Roberts, because we all know that a lot of people in Trinidad and Tobago that are employed, they are still operating on that 2013 salary. And we know the economy, the demands then at 2013 is completely different to what we are seeing now in 2023. And there are some naysayers that will probably say, why do the teachers deserve that? Little do they know that the life of a teacher is much more than just going on a blackboard and writing. So tell our viewers, just in retrospect, what the life of a teacher is, it really comprises of.
But before I go into that, really, I want to because a lot of our teachers are angry with the acceptance of the 4%. So if I could just touch on that first. Sure. The government seem to have had this plan all along to have negotiations dragged on to this point, so they have a 1%, and they give the impression that they are negotiating, so they move from 1% to 2%. In no time, they would have collapsed negotiations that we are before the tribunals. They, in my belief, watching how this thing would have transpired, would have had this as part of their plan. Now, when you go before the tribunal, there is a 5-year limit in terms of a minimum that they can rule over.
Okay.
Now, we negotiate 2 3-year periods. So then the court is now obligated to do 2 5-year periods.
Okay.
So if we negotiate 4% or whatever closure of the gap that we utilize, it will not be at a 2 3-year periods, but it would now be 2 5-year periods at a minimum. So we were able to see what would have happened with prisons, where they went to have 2 3-year periods rule over, and they were given a 4% over 10-year period. So we would have then, that would have resulted in us relooking our approach. We have our attorneys who would have given some advice. We went to the courts on the last week Friday, and the judge indicated that it's a similar ruling he intended to give. Of course, it will be a disadvantage for us to have ruled over 10 years or 12 years instead of 6. So we would have decided to take the package from the CPO, although it is not the ideal figure. Now, the CPO's package includes additional allowances where they had increases of some of the allowances, like the traveling for those officers who have traveling, those teachers who are now going to get a telephone allowance, the senior teachers upward at administrative level. We have a $4,000 buyout or payout to those retirees who would have been there between 2014 to 2016. Okay. So there were other things on the table from the CPU that we were not guaranteed if we continued fighting at the court and the court giving us something that we really did not want. So while we have a lot of our teachers displeased with tutor taking the stance and we didn't fight all the way, we needed to look at the risk of it. Now, as you mentioned, the life of a teacher spends a significant amount of their income uplifting the education system. Yeah, that's so this is not a win for the government or a loss for tutor. the nation is impacted by our teachers. So when you give a teacher a $200 and something pay increase, but the retail price index shows that if you needed $7,000 to purchase items back in 2015, and you need $7,900 to buy the same things now, giving a $200 and something increase to the same persons who uplifting the education system is not something for the government to celebrate. It's not something for a tutor to see, well, right, we set a negotiation and we are happy. We are not happy. We are hoping that the government will do better in even going forward future negotiations, so that we don't have persons behind the ball all the time. When cost of living goes up a particular percentage, and you give a percentage increase that does not even match half of that, we cannot expect the culture of our society where crime rates on the rise for that to change. So no amount of police vehicles and money you put into crime would bring back the hardship, which is a social ill that causing crime, you know. So we are hoping that the CPO, as we look at the SBA matters and all the other matters that he promised to look at in lieu of this percentage that they would have given to us, that they do their best in resolving all those particular matters.
Right, and Mr. Roberts, penultimate response, you would have stated that, even though you all accepted this is not the ideal package. So tell our viewers and our listeners, what exactly do you think is the ideal package that our teachers deserve?
Right, so we would have completed a market survey. So what we do, we don't do a percentage increase. We examine the market, we look at what our salary should be in comparison to what has taken place in the market, and we draw a line. When we draw that line, so let's say in this market survey, we saw a gap of $6,000.
Wow.
As what teachers receive now, they are $6,000 less than what they should be receiving. So then we do a closure of the gap. So what percentage of that $6,000 we're going to close the gap by to see what the new salary is going to be.
Okay.
The CPO and his team never engaged in the closure of the gap. They had a blanket 001, 001, and then they changed that to 002, which is a percentage increase. Of course, we don't accept that. So what they simply did is give us the equivalent as what a closure is of the gap. We are now seeing where that closure would be in totality, average 9% closure. So 9% of the $6,000, that gap is what the CPO is now offering to us. So as I said, it's not ideal, but we risked not getting any or getting a 4% rule over even this 2020 to 2023 period. And that is something could not. We were able to, when we got the advice, we were able to reach out to the CPO. Of course, they are willing to have us accept that meager 4%, which is now a 9% closure of the gap. So they are offering teachers 9% of what they should be getting.
Okay, Mr. West, that's interesting. Those figures are some really interesting figures, because everyone in society can know that a lot of the greats you see, the people, the role models you look up to, they wouldn't be themselves if it wasn't for a teacher, or teachers really put a lot of their work into building some of our best and brightest in our countries. And when you look on social media, you will always see that teachers, even in the US, they are always arguing that teachers really deserve the most. They deserve more because they are they play an integral role into sustaining our economy here in Trinidad and Tobago. When you go to the hospital, those doctors, they had a teacher. Those lawyers, they had a teacher. Most of the people you interact with that you may look up to or hold a position that is respected, they had a teacher. And so, Mr. Roberts, it all brings me to question, how are you all going to move forward now? Are you all just going to accept it and say, all right, well, that is it, no more arguing, or are you going to keep pressing forward to make sure that the teachers get what they deserve?
Right, so it's a very good question. We have a list of issues that are affecting our members. So they are lacking the increments, the leave classification, SBAs. That is something that teachers, they mark with no additional fee being paid for that particular service. And you would know, several years ago, you may have had either 4 subjects with SBAs or 5 subjects with SBAs. Now every subject have SBA now, even English have SBA. So I believe maths have SBA.
Maths has an SBA, yeah.
Yes. So there are some of these other items that the CPO will have committed to giving greater attention to and having a remuneration package for the SBAs. So those are some of the other things that we have to continue pushing on. It will help to bump the salary or the remuneration of our teachers. Also, the CPO would have committed either 2024-2025 financial period to do a evaluation of our market, a job evaluation, which would then give us the opportunity to install the necessary allowances we would want to see. For example, the technology allowance, teachers using their devices now, paying for internet now, and so on. And it may adjust the salary when that job evaluation is done. So there is hope for betterment for the teachers in that regard if we are not stuck with the 4%. However, I trust that the government really gave a better effort, because we can't have corruption being bandied about on the platform by the opposition and by the government. We can't have hikes in contracts where we don't get the quality of work. And then you say to the people, we could only have 4% because we don't have no money. So you can't mismanage the money and then give to the population, because not teachers alone will be getting it. All the other unions, based on what we have experienced or we have seen, will be around that 4% border. We are going to create a culture in Trinidad and Tobago where we will then have to put the largest sum of our budget in fighting crime. We have a lot of social ills, and the teachers, out of their pocket, do a lot in uplifting the education system. We lobby out here all the time. So I really trust that the CPO in the first instance, those items that you have identified that you want to ensure to be rectified in the near future, we have that done. We continue to work with our teachers so that they will also give their best. The morale may not be as high as it should be. A lot of our teachers are upset, but we do not want that to trickle down to our students, the ultimate goal. So I want to give the encouragement. Yes, the 4% is very meager. I believe that $200 and something can't even buy you a tire to put on your vehicle.
Or even a data plan.
So we're going to continue to lobby for our teachers. In the meantime, we're going to continue to encourage them and not to give their best. We won't encourage our teachers to not give their best. However, it's so much teachers could take. So if teachers cannot afford to buy the resources for the same students, then students will get less.
Okay. Makes sense. And Mr. Roberts, you would have spoke about lobbying, and I could personally attest to that, because when I used to work in admin's office, you used to be there frequently advocating. You always used to be there so present. And recently, we would have seen the Division of Education. They would have issued some job vacancies with the salaries attached. So, a lot of people now, they are of the belief, what more do these teachers want? Because you're looking at the numbers, they're seeing at 12,000, at 15, sometimes even at 11, and you will ask yourself, what more do these teachers want? But it's only until you, as a child, you as a student, really sit down and see the work that your teachers put into ensuring that the class does well, that you are up there on the curve, that you will say to yourself, this is not enough. So just to remind our viewers, why our teachers, they really, really deserve that. It's not about what you're seeing on the flyer. It looks good on the flyer, it looks good on paper, but there's so much more that goes into that $12,000 salary.
Right. So we try our best not to discuss what the salary of teachers, what our salary is. However, the salary scale starts at $6,000. So we have assistant teacher primary. Some of them would have gotten their degree and so forth and waiting on paperwork to be done. Some of those teachers teach in standard 5 and standard 4 classes. We know how hectic that is. These teachers have $6,000 and something a month salary. Now, an average teacher, one in a primary school, gets around $9,000. Now, when you look at the training and the work that has to go into teaching, a lot of that $9,000 or that $6,000 on the lowest end is still spent on the school. So we have a lot of schools with the photocopiers not working. We discussed with admin Tuesday gone. Teachers buying printer and buying ink and photo and printing things at home to carry to school.
And those things aren't cheap.
They know they're not cheap. So when we would say it's not $9,000 to carry home, or $12,000 or whatever they see on a flat to carry home, we spend a lot back in our education system. We always hear in the ministry meetings, we have no money. In the division meeting, we have no money. I was recently in the media advocating for teachers to get their increments and their arrears that they would have already worked for. education does not have the requisite amount of funds to deal with all the issues. You know who they bank on? The same teachers who don't have a weekend, because parents will still call and reach out to them. They don't have an evening because that's a planning time. You don't just wake up a morning and then go in the classroom and teach. So a lot of effort is put into teaching, financial effort as well. So that's why we lobby. And it's not just lobbying for teachers. We are looking at what our society is coping with now and all these social ills. So while this 4% is not just a teacher thing, we have to look how society is being impacted by the cost of living and the meager injection that the CPU is given to the workforce, not just teaching.
All right, and Mr. Bush, to wrap things up, we must discuss that CSEC scandal that we saw with the maths paper being leaked. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, so papers being leaked, and we recently had the SCA coming up as well, where I think it was the creative writing paper was out before the exam started. Papers being leaked is not a new thing. Yes, there needs to be measures in place, because sometimes we try to blame is a teacher. It has to be a teacher who leak it. But until you put a mark on that to see who would have been the person leaking, there should be no allegations out there. They need to have better control in terms of those persons who are preparing those papers and safeguarding those documents. It's very unfortunate if they have to do over some of those papers, because students are preparing for a particular date. When you have your mind set, by June I'm out, finish with this. Especially for exam, it's a stressful time because you're putting in all the extra work, all the anxiety, it's there. Now, even the leaked paper, persons may see some of those questions and start to get thrown off because they're preparing for those particular things now. So it's unfortunate. I hope we don't get into the blame game and trying to identify who is the person, like they did with the SCA, and try to blame the teachers. We need to get a better handle of that. And with quality control, we will get that done.
All right. So, Mr. Roberts, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this Friday to just chat and talk about what's been going on in our educational space. So, viewers, that was Mr. Braden Roberts. And just don't go anywhere yet. We still have a lot more for you. Just remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a place for your loved ones? Heavenly Care welcomes you. Located at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors, we offer a variety of services. These include doctor visitations, social activities, geriatric care, and much more. Contact us at 277-9595 or visit us at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors. At Heavenly Care, compassion is at the heart of all care.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Live more.
The Across the Floor Dance Company presents Emotions, Movement of the Heart dance production on Saturday, May 27th at the Shore Park Complex. Come see dances of all genres.
Tobago will never be the same. It's coming strong, but it's tired. This little piggy is tired. It's finally here, Tobago. The adult-only comedy that played to sold-out houses across Trinidad is finally in Tobago. One night only. Saturday, June 3rd at 8:30 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex. Tickets available at advertised outlets. Check press and social media for details. Tobago, the Bacadal Week.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to
Good
place.
morning, Tobago, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. This morning we're here with the Family Planning Association, and we're going to talk a little bit about sexual education and that kind of thing. It's a very taboo topic, especially here in Trinidad and Tobago, in the Caribbean in general. So this morning I'm joined by two beautiful ladies. Can you all introduce yourselves to the viewers?
I am Roxanne Lane, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator at the Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
And I'm Jada Thomas. I'm the Youth Officer at the Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, ladies, and can you tell us about your organization, what it is you do exactly, both of you all, in your specific portfolios as well as the organization on a whole?
Okay, well, Family Planning is an organization that was founded in 1956, so we have been around for quite some time, and we focus on sexual and reproductive health. Anything that deals with the reproductive health of men and women and young people. So we do services like cervical cancer screening, prostate cancer screenings, birth control. That's where we have our name, Family Planning. So we have birth control methods. We also do sexually transmitted infections. We do testing for them. And we also do counseling services, gender-based violence, counseling, and of course support services. And the list goes on and on. So it's much more than what people know us for in the past, just doing family health services or family planning services. We do way more than that now.
Okay, Jada, anything you want to add?
I basically do everything that Roxanne just said, just more geared towards youth. I also work closely with her in the outreaches, which is where we go into the communities and we disperse our products to persons who might not be able to come into the clinics.
Okay, so I heard you talking about the outreach programs and going out into the communities. Let's talk a little bit about accessibility. What do you think can be done, or what are you all doing as an organization to improve accessibility to contraception and information in general? Because information is important. What are you all doing in that regard?
Well, we're very active on our social medias, so our TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You could find us at Family Planning Association Trinidad and Tobago on everything. And then we accept requests from anyone who's interested. As long as you have 25 or more persons, feel free to email us and let us know what services that you're interested in. As Roxanne said earlier, we have pap smears available, SC testing, and prostate screening.
Okay, so you spoke about the content on the page, and I must say I visited the page, and it's quite interactive, and I think that's very important that young persons and persons in general are able to see the information right there in front of their face. So when I was on the page, I saw a couple of your posts, your pictures, and one of them spoke about abortion. It said abortion is healthcare as well. So let's chat a little bit about that, because we know that it's very taboo, it's very, very controversial. We see a lot of crazy stuff happening in the United States. First, I think it was in Texas, where they passed the law and they banned it. So let's talk a little bit about that, in terms of the Trinidad and Tobago space, the Caribbean, comparing it to the US. Let's chat a little bit about that.
Well, family planning, we are doing right now research on abortion in Trinidad and Tobago. So we have a global care project, and that project is geared towards knowledge, finding out knowledge, information in terms of what people know about abortion, what are people's attitudes towards it, and giving us the opportunity to remember that sexual rights are human rights. So we know that within Trinidad and Tobago, in certain circumstances, that abortion is illegal. However, we believe that persons do go backdoor, and we all know that they do, and have unsafe, and we have the mortality rate going up. So what we want to do is to encourage the conversation surrounding it, in that people would know that there are options. Abortion is not a method of contraception, but we can start the conversations about abortion and what it is and what it means in Trinidad and Tobago. So we've just concluded research, and I know that as part of that project, we are going to be disseminating the information surrounding it, what we would have found based on the persons that we would have interviewed. And that will form a basis for, of course, advocacy, so that persons would be able to know what and how persons within the country feels about it, and that we can start an active discussion and not put our heads and think that it's not happening, because it is happening within Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, and in terms of having this information available to young persons, the school children, I mean, we may not want to think that it's true, but we all know that it's prevalent, it's happening, it's nothing new, it's been happening for quite some time. How is this information accessible to school children? Because I know when I was in school, when I went to high school, we had HFLE, or moral education. It wasn't called sexual health or anything like that, but they basically taught us sex ed day. And, they taught us about contraception, the different types of contraception and that kind of thing. But nothing was ever available. I mean, persons may think that you don't want to give it to young persons because you don't want them to use it, but the reality is that they're going to do it. So I think that we should make it available to them. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. What are your thoughts on that? Jada, you can take this one.
Well, from a legal standpoint, minors are not allowed to access certain sexual health services without the permission of their parent, or at least a guardian present. On the school front, I do agree that it should be disseminated through schools. We should make the information age appropriate and teach children at all levels different things. So we can start with consent, and then as they get older, we introduce them more in sexual health.
And of reproductive, that's young men. About one point in time in the month, and that's it. They're not certain about when they ovulate, or anything like that. So can you talk a little bit, chat a little bit about that, having that information available for young ladies or ladies in general?
So right now, we are in the process of rolling out a comprehensive sexuality education toolkit for persons who are out of school, the out of school youth. Because of course, within the HFLE, within the school system, you have the HFLE that still obtains within. And then for the persons who are out of school, we want to make sure that we are able to disseminate the information. Our view is that you need to prepare, just like the army would put out a call for soldiers, and we don't have a war pending. But you prepare, they train, they learn how to use the ammunition, so that when we do have an uprising or anything that requires the armed forces, that they are prepared. So it's the same thing education does. It prepares the young person, should they end up in a situation where they need to call on or to recall on the information, they have the correct information. Because of course we have Dr. Google, we have all the peers who may not be giving you the relevant information. Even in terms of birth control and all these things, you would get information. However, the main thing is whether or not it will work with you based on your medical circumstances. So these are the things that we'll be able to say to you that can help you save your life. Now, because your friend is using something and it works for your friend, means that it can work for you. So getting that information out there, having young persons know that they can come to an organization where the services are integrated, where it's youth-friendly, user-friendly, youth-centered. So that is why we are here, and that's why Jada is here, because we have a focus on the youth for 2023.
Yeah, on the topic of sharing information and experiences, part of my initiative for this year is involving youth in the conversation. So what I do is I would hold different discussions with different youth, and we just talk about how you feel, what impacts you, how you're being affected by certain things. Our most recent discussion that we just had, it was how negative sexual experiences impacts your general health. And we had so many people share so many personal stories, and a lot of people just felt relief knowing that so many others had experienced the exact same things that they had. So I've been doing some groundwork here in Tobago, connecting with the youth clubs, marginalized communities. Should you be interested in participating in one of our discussions, you can feel free to contact me. My email is jthomas@ttfpa.org.
Okay, and Jada, I think that's very commendable in terms of negative sexual experiences affecting your general health. That's something that I would have never thought about. I mean, it's obvious, but it's not something that I would have thought about to say, well, have a conversation around it. And speaking of conversations, I mean, we have it in schools, but at home, parents, it's something that parents don't usually talk about with their children. You know, mothers or fathers, auntie, uncle, granny, whoever, having that conversation with their child, letting them know, well, this is what is happening. This is what your period is. This is what sex is. This is what you're supposed to do when you're having sex. This is what you're not supposed to do. This is what consent is. I think that kind of information coming from somebody who you trust is very, very integral. So is there anything that you could probably do to parent? You say they have the conferences. Do you have any plans or anything in place for parents or guardians for them to be able to have the information so that they could give it to their children?
Well, it's actually really interesting that you asked that, because we actually do have a program for that. It's called CHAMP. It's our collaborative HIV, Roxanne?
We have collaborative HIV/AIDS management program, and that program is something that we roll out with parent and child or guardian. It is the opportunity for the same thing that you were asking about, for parents to be comfortable discussing things about sexual and reproductive health, being able to have the conversation apart from their kids as well as with them. So you teach them how to communicate, how to see signs, both sides, how to resolve issues, so that you build that rapport between the parent and the child, so that they both feel comfortable to engage, and that the information that they receive, they'll feel safe receiving the information, and the parents will feel equipped. Because most of the problems that parents have is that they too, when they were younger, were never equipped with the information. So they don't have any information to share. And it has always been taboo for their parents, so they were never told. What they learned was what they would have seen or read or heard. And so they don't know how to approach it, and they would approach it most times in the ways that their parents would have approached it with them. But we have the opportunity at Family Planning to reach out, and we have been doing that. And that's why I said, Family Planning has been known for just contraceptive products and being the advocate for the planned family, but we are so much more than that now, providing holistic care to men, women, and young people in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, and I understand that there's something specific you all are here in Tobago for. Can you all tell us a little bit about that program?
Well, we have an outreach program, as we would have mentioned before, and we try to bridge that gap, that access gap, because of course we know, even though there may be health centers or there may be hospitals, some people don't have access to it, either because of a physical disability or because of economics. Yeah? And what we do is we bring healthcare services to persons. So we are here in Tobago, and we are offering cervical cancer screens in the area of, we're going in the Glen Road area by the Glen Road Community Center, and we are there for 2 days. We have been there yesterday, and we are here again today from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we are having a fun time interacting with persons of Trinidad and Tobago, because we are seeing locals here, we are seeing persons from Tobago who we haven't seen for a long time, and we are able now to reconnect COVID had done one on us in that we had not been able to open our clinics and service the persons of Tobago. But we have that opportunity to do that. And we started yesterday, and we are going to continue today doing the pap smear, the STI testing, all at a small fee, $200 for a female health package that includes a breast exam, urine test, weight, vital signs. So it's a good deal. And of course,
and we also have our contraceptive available. We have the IUDs, the copper T, we have oral contraceptives, as well as the Depo-Provera injection.
So we've got you covered.
Yeah, you will definitely have everything. Yeah. And in terms of plans for the future, Jade, I know earlier you were saying that you had some stuff that you were interested in doing in the future.
Yeah, all the youth initiatives that we are rolling out in Trinidad are, of course, going to be done in Tobago as well. So primarily the discussions, any health fairs that will be happening in the country. Once we are invited, we will try our best to attend. Anything else, I would just reach out and let whichever groups I'm in contact with know future details.
Okay, and I definitely recommend that you reach out to the Tobago Youth Council because they are the umbrella body for all the youth organizations in Tobago. So they'll be able to gather everybody together so that you have that audience. Okay. So that you'll be able to disseminate the information. Okay, well, thank you all so much for chatting with us this morning. You know, I could once again just give the viewers your social media information, your emails, contacts, that kind of thing. Let them know where you'll be, what times you'll be there, so that you'll be able to explain.
Okay, so on Friday the 19th of May, today, we will be at the Glen Road Community Center from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our social medias are FPATT on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And I can be contacted personally at jthomas@ttfpa.org.
And for person who wants to have programs in their communities, you can contact outreachservices.fpatt@gmail.com, and that's my email address, outreachservices.fpatt@gmail.com. And we also work with the corporate sector. We do education services, and we also, you know, lean on them to adopt communities so that we can provide services free to these communities. So if you want to learn more on how you can contribute and how you can provide support to family planning, you can, again, email me, outreachservices.fpatt@gmail.com.
Okay, viewers, that was Jada Thomas and Roxanne Lane from the Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Stay tuned and remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero. Champion. Fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
Welcome to L'Image Parfait Day Spa, your urban oasis and wellness center. Our services includes massages, treatments, facials, pedicures, weight management, detox programs, and much more. Call us today at 624-1452 or 720-7474. Trinidad locations and Bonacore, Tobago at 273-7772. Let us treat you like the VIP you are.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show. To them once again, they better look out below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. this is your show. More, live more.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
October will never be better with Tobago Carnival fever. Book your passage and come on over.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place.
Good morning and welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And yes, we are here live in the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. And thank you so much for sticking with us, viewers. So this morning we will be delving into our crime, the state of our crime in Trinidad and Tobago. Kaylee, what are your thoughts before we bring on our guests? What are your thoughts with all that's been happening in Trinidad and Tobago?
My thoughts on the state of crime in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, if we have to compare the murder rate now to the murder rates for the same period last year, I think it's getting a bit out of hand.
Yes.
It's quite ridiculous. And I mean, it's quite interesting also that the commissioner of police would have said, if she said that she's doing an excellent job, I commend her for that. She's very confident, and I think confidence is very important. So congratulations to her on a job well done, according to her. But in my personal opinion, I think that it's out of hand. In addition to that, earlier on, she would have mentioned that the crime rate should reduce by June, where in May, and I'm not seeing any improvements. I'm not seeing any improvements at all. Yeah, so right. I think that's quite ridiculous.
It's really ridiculous, Kaylee. But thankfully, we have an expert who will be joining us this morning. So viewers, allow us to bring on screen with us, no stranger to us here in Tobago, or here on Tobago Updates, Mr. Collis Hazel, and he is the Assistant Commissioner of Police in Tobago. So Mr. Hazel, a pleasant morning to you, and how are you doing this morning?
I am fine, thank you, and it's also a delightful moment to be in your company and that of all your viewers within Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the world.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit firstly about the accident that would have happened yesterday, claimed the lives of a very young couple. Let's talk about that in terms of road safety in Tobago.
So, first of all, I want to take the opportunity to express my deepest condolences to the family of the bereaved, that of the those persons, two young, intelligent persons who would have lost their action broken this morning. Yesterday, was indeed very saddened for me to visit the scene of an accident and would have seen someone who I have worked with tremendous in another area of within the assembly at the business development unit where I served some time there, and of course Mr. Allen would have worked successfully there, is really one of the persons who we always depended on in terms of providing that educational to resolve anything in terms of finance and planning and development and entrepreneurship. She was just the life of the party. And of course, to her husband, who have excelled so successfully in the fire services, achieving all his accolades in terms of his exams, and someone who we were looking forward to in the high echelon of the fire services, would have lost their life to accident. Road traffic accident is one that is on the rise in Tobago, and of course the police will continue to work relentlessly in terms of reducing these forms of accidents but causing fatality. As you are well aware, part of our strategic plan focuses on increasing safety in public spaces, and therefore part of that, we want to be able to ensure that we enhance our road safety initiatives. And one of the strategies that will be coming on board in order to treat with that is an increase in our direct patrols in some areas that are prone to fatal and serious RTAs. I must say to you that under the tenure of the previous commissioner of police, some training was done in the Tobago space in order to roll out that program, and the officers have already been trained. What we are waiting for is the arrival of the vehicles that will see us put that whole programming in place on our highway. As small as it is, we really want to ensure that we police that highway. And at this point in time, I know every effort would be made to ensure that that program kicks off, because what we have seen and what we know for a fact is that we have much more cars, much more vehicles on the road. The roadway continue to be the same space that we have known for decades, but yet still we have had an increase in terms of speed and persons not providing, utilizing the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act regulations in order to guide them as they drive recklessly on the roads here in Tobago. And part of our strategy, of course, will be to ensure that we continue our road safety campaign on the island, and particularly with even our young drivers, in ensuring that they are well aware and well acquainted in how to utilize their vehicle properly on the nation road, taking into consideration the road having 6 to date fatalities. Really is a record-breaking situation for Tobago. And at this point in time, I can give the public the assurance that we are going to be going into a zero tolerance mode on our nation's road, on our roads in Tobago, because we cannot tolerate what is taking place here on the roads any more than that has gone before. Clearly something is amiss, and therefore we have to be able to ensure that our policing strategy, our games are up to deal with delinquent motorists that are racing in these roads and taking the lives of so many citizens who have contributed immensely in several ways to the development of this island. So I really want to say at this point in time that we will be engaging other persons to assist us all up in that. So I can give you all assurances that I have been in communication with the Transport Commissioner since this incident took place, and Tobagonians could be afford to be assured that I am bringing back the licensing authority in full force to join with the TTPS in ensuring that people obey the laws that governs the road traffic on this island.
So Hazel, you know that manpower is one thing, but in terms of technology, what is the police force, what is the TTPS doing in terms of implementing the CCTV cameras? I know that recently the chief secretary would have spoken a little bit about it, but what is there? Is there anything in place in terms of CCTV cameras to curb the incidents that we haven't taken place on the roads of Tobago?
Well, the point about it is CCTV cameras is very reactive. What we need is proactive actions on our nation's road. We don't want after the effect that somebody commits an offense and we send in a ticket in their mailbox when they are already committing the offense. Road traffic accidents really need that proactive actions, where at the end of the day, we can be on spot. And I can tell you that the directed patrols in which we are going to be implementing is one in where you're going to be observing at our traffic signs and on interjections. We are going to find police patrols static at some of those areas, but there it is a new operation where we will now be rolling out, where our officers will not be considered just to be seen themselves as traffic cops, but of course they are going to be doing other operations while they're there and can make themselves useful to the use of other persons in businesses and other persons that will require their services, so that even checks and road checks, searches will be conducted while they are on these static positions in terms of their keen observation in order to treat with such situation. We have identified these places that we want them to be placed, and of course we are going to be treating with that. We are going to be using our licensing officers to ensure that we go on a road safety campaign, because may I say to you, one of the things that a lot of persons aren't aware, while they're able to pass the regulations and so forth for the examination, there are so many offenses under the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act that people aren't aware. And I think that public education is necessary. We have had improvement in this legislation, and therefore we need for our motor vehicle and road traffic officers and our police officers to get there and sensitize, educate, and to act as a catalyst for change in ensuring that those behaviors that are exhibited at this point in time really change. 6 fatalities, no way.
Hazel, and sticking on cameras, but a different type of cameras. With the accident that occurred yesterday, we would have seen where someone would have taken a drone photo of the deceased and posted it all over medias. But I know in other countries there are laws and protocols that along the lines of breaching the vulnerability and dignity of the dead. So my question is, do we have any laws in Trinidad and Tobago that protects the privacy and the vulnerability of the dead? Because, you know, as a family member, someone close to the dead, it will be very hurtful to, you know, be grieving and having someone to, you know, go the extra mile of taking a drone picture of the deceased and having to see it plastered all over media channels. Are there any laws in Trinidad and Tobago that protect our dead?
Not only that protects our dead, but also the laws that protect the use of drones flying in the territorial space. So again, that is what has been done in terms of social media. I've been made aware of that on the scene, and clearly an investigation is going to be launched in terms of how we treat with that situation, because it's really untenable that someone would be able to deal with that situation in such a very uncaring manner. You know, we have to understand what we post on social media, and unless we make someone responsible for the actions, streams will continue to flow into rivers, and rivers will continue to flow into seas. And therefore, these are incidents that certainly will be investigated. And I can say, where the chips fall, they may.
Mr. Hazel. And licensing officers, just mere months ago, we would have observed that quote-unquote scandal with the licensing officers here in Tobago, where a lot of Tobagonians were of the belief that the licensing officers were here to oppress them. And you would have said in a statement that you will be ensuring that the licensing officers would be coming back to Tobago to ensure that all motorists, everyone on the road, they are kept up to date, they are educated, and that they are operating within the laws and regulations of the licensing and by extension Trinidad and Tobago. But what are your thoughts on Tobagonians, because a lot of Tobagonians are of the belief that, the licensing officers are not needed in such huge numbers in Tobago. What are your thoughts on that?
May I say to you that everybody in Trinidad and Tobago has a function, has a role, and has a responsibility. As a law enforcement officer, it is not for me to criticize the function of my colleagues. What one needs to understand is that we have a function and we have a role. And the licensing officer's function and that of the police is there to protect and provide that safe guidance to our citizens in order to know how to use the road so that it will make all of us safe. So the same thing can be said, that there are too many police officers that are coming to serve us. But for heaven's sake, when anything happens, the first thing we run to is the police. And therefore, I cannot sit down here and side with anybody who want to bring to the impression that we have too many licensed officers here and they are doing, as a matter of fact, we have 3 licensed officers that are on this island. And certainly 3 is insufficient. I do not know how they manage that humongous task in carrying out all those duties with only 3 officers. And clearly, they are my counterparts. We in the police service have many other functions to do, and therefore they have a responsibility as well to be able to protect and guide and serve our road users. And therefore every effort is going to be made. I will not go in any way to say that we are not going to be bringing them back. They are responsible, they work with us. This is an independent body, and therefore no one can stop anybody from coming on this island under national security to perform their function. We have an independent function, and we are a creature of the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, and everybody needs to follow within their remit. That is our role, and therefore we're going to ensure that our role and functions are maintained on this island.
Okay, Mr. Hazel.
Okay, Mr. Hazel, earlier on you would have spoken about newer drivers doing the regulations and doing their driving tests and still not being aware of all the rules and regulations there are in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, recently I would have been at a little meeting and I learned a lot of new things that I really did not know. I didn't know that when they come in from sports and games side, they go in towards Republic Bank, you actually can't go straight across. I knew before that when you come in from Scarborough to go to Republic Bank in Orkinscure, you can't make the right turn. You have to go and turn around and then go into Republic Bank. So what is your strategy? Is it only the licensing officers you're going to utilize to implement or reinforce those laws for Tobagonians, or is there some type of education that you probably want to implement as well, maybe when persons doing their regulations? Because I know when I did my regulations, it was mainly memorizing the information and then regurgitating it, because I mean, it's just a multiple choice exam. There's not any kind of big set of thing to it. And then some persons, they do the regulations, drive for about 2 weeks, they just drive in the regular driving route there in Scarborough, and that's it. So there are a lot of things that persons aren't aware of. What is your strategy in terms of bringing awareness to that?
Okay, so our road safety campaign, we do have a road safety campaign. And may I say to the Trinidad and Tobago public that I am the representative for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service on the Cabinet-appointed Committee for National Road Safety. And we are at this point in time rolling out a road safety plan. And therefore, our road safety plan, I want to tell you guys that we reached from the stage where I think it's 2021, we were showing the world we had the lowest road fatalities in the world, Trinidad and Tobago. And because of that, PAHO is now conducting a study as to what were the best practice initiative that caused us to fall under that. I can't quote the figures now, but that where we were able to fall under that. And quite rightly, we have dropped. Here we are at a situation where Tobago have 6 fatalities. I am saying to us, it is important that we need to be able to educate and inform. So some of the strategies we want to start from our secondary schools and to ensure that our young drivers not only just focus their attention on learning to drive, but learning to drive even defensive driving in terms of so that they have a better understanding of the whole idea of the use of the road and how in terms of treating with speed and how an accident can be caused and all these things that happen in the defensive driving courses. So it is starting with schools, starting to have a greater participation and attention, reaching out there to NGOs, CBOs, community-based organizations, and that is part of the function of the licensing authority. We also have updated regulations in the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act quite recently, where we have the demerit points taking place. And may I say to you that many of us aren't aware the legislation came into being, it was thrown upon us, but some of us aren't aware now that even as you go to buy a new vehicle, and you are buying that new vehicle not knowing that the vehicle in which you are buying, if you didn't change the ownership, the owner did not change that, you did a change in ownership with respect to that vehicle, it is now difficult. You didn't allow that let's take for instance that there was some demerit points issued to that driver who owns that vehicle, and you didn't have him dealt with those issues on his of law with his demerit points. You now going and purchase that vehicle. When you are ready to transfer that vehicle in your name, you end up in a lot of challenges because that owner had not paid up all his debts as it relates to this that is on his license, and therefore you stand there with a vehicle you are trying to get transferred, and really what you have to do is basically to clear up all those debts. Now, many people aren't aware of that and find themselves now with a vehicle on their hand, now looking to change when the owner is out of the country and gone. So there are so many things that we need to be educated on. And therefore, this is what our licensed officers and our police officers are going to be doing, using medium like this forum in order to come on board and to educate and to teach and to sensitize. So we can't see it there as a licensed officer only outside there to give tickets and we don't want them and they belong to Trinidad. I just come from Trinidad and I'm working in Tobago. So what are we talking about? They are agents of the state. And as far as I'm concerned, Trinidad and Tobago is part of the unitary state and we can work anywhere. So this foolish thought that we keep on talking about, I am going to debar that immediately. We will work anywhere and anytime because we are creatures of this constitution that we all govern under. What we need to do is to tell our people, for God's sake, let us be safe. Let us think about tomorrow. Let us understand and care for the other road users. Every day we wake in the same bed, but not in the same world. We have to be more caring. We have to be more responsible. We have to talk to our children. We have to talk to the persons now. It is so sad to know that we have lost the lives of these two young, beautiful, successful people. You go and ask anybody in the office of the Division of Finance about Miss Allen Adams, and ask anybody about that fire officer that they lost their life on, and leaving behind their 3 children. And you could understand the pain that they are going through. And by the way, we in the police service are providing, we did provide psychosocial counseling and support to the family so that those 2 children will get a sense of understanding as to how to treat with the death, and all of that was done yesterday for them. So we are asking at this point in time, let us consider the dangers that is affected and stop talking about police and licensed officers just being there to charge, but let's encourage our citizens to do what is right. The right thing can only be the right thing. And that is what we are here for, to enforce the laws and act as a catalyst for change.
All right, Mr. Hazel, thank you so much for giving us that educational tidbit on our road safety. But let's switch over into crime. Now, you would have stated that, we have a lot of young drivers. But when we look at the crime rate in Tobago and what's been happening in the crime space, we are seeing that a lot of youths, a lot of our young men are appearing to be on the opposite side of the law. Just recently, we would have had a death. Mr. Hakeem Thomas, another young guy. What are your thoughts, and why do you think that a lot of youths are getting involved in crime, especially in Tobago?
May I say to you and to Tobago that the persons from our statistics, we have noted that persons within the age of 18 to 35, 36, within that age room are the persons who are committing crime and criminality. And one would ask yourself, why are these persons involved? And therefore, we need to go back to the whole idea that we can look at all answers we can come from. We can look at the answers that our young people want to go to the fact that crime, from an economic standpoint, crime pays for them. And therefore, one could take the slant of crime as a social construct, as Durkheim pined to all of us, that at the end of the day, crime and criminality comes out of a social construct where in the society things are not happening, and therefore people will fall prey to social ills in society. There are other theorists who posit various opinions and what that has been proven and tested in terms of the reasons why people will get involved in crime. But one of the things that we have noted is the fact that crime has the gang culture of criminality seems to be persuasive over our young persons, where young people tend to look out there for that idea of support and encouragement and partnership in terms of what they set out to do. And what we have seen, that many of the youths, even out of the schools, are being recruited into gang. So we have had semblance of all the gangs noted within Trinidad, Muslim and Rasta City and 6, 7 and 8, you just name it. They haven't been encroaching in this beautiful island of Tobago and recruiting our young boys and girls into the gang warfare and the culture and coming here in our space. May I say too, some of the developments that are taking place here Let us not hide it, where Trinidadians are coming here and with some of the development programs that are being rolled out where they are in charge, are bringing their criminal elements on this island who are working with them. But what is interesting is the fact that some of our very own people here are creating that space to accompany them, to allow them, and keep very, very quiet. This is not something that the Tobago population was accustomed to. I grew up in a place where every time you see some stranger, it would have been brought to the attention of the police. Who he? Who she? Where she come out? And at the end of the day, it gets to us and we try to find out. We are having people coming here and sitting down here comfortably among our young boys and girls, eating, drinking, liming, smoking, and having a jolly good time. And only when we do our checks, field checks, and searches and raids, and we look into our system, we realize that these are criminals who are coming here to hide out from their gang warfare and encouraging our young people. And we sit down quiet as a people, lay back and allowing that to take place, not knowing that they are infiltrating on our very young, beautiful island of paradise. And we have had more than that. We have had parents who are sitting there allowing their young children, knowing that they're not working one goddamn place, coming home night after night and bringing in firearms and ammunition in the place and lie down there comfortable with them, encouraging them, because at the end of the day, they're handing them a $5,000, knowing fully well that they are not working anywhere. But we comfortable with that. These are the same people who get up there in social media and blame the idea where all the police doing on the road, where all our licensed officers doing on the road. But if we don't do that, we can't know. And therefore, we have to make checks to ensure that we rid people of these risks and these miscreants in society, very small in number, that is causing a problem in the lives of our citizens. And clearly, I am saying to us, we have to trust somebody, Tobagonians. We have to trust someone in this fight against crime. I have heard all kinds of things about trust and developing trust and confidence and so forth. But we have to understand the bigger picture is that all of us have to live here. And when we start dropping like flies by this level of banditry, we can develop this small, beautiful economy of tourism on this island. We just imagine that we are sitting, we have just reached on, the Tobago House of Assembly was able to get Condo to come on stream again in the winter season. We have developed our carnival product so that we can bring some more local and domestic tourists into the island. We are now building out our tourism economy. But may I say to us, if we are affected by crime and we continue to get those international advisories, no tourists ain't coming here. No foreign exchange is not going to be coming at our doorstep to support our same brothers and sisters who we are condoning in crime and criminality. So what do we want? What do we want? What are we asking for? And therefore, the plea and the cry is for us to be responsible citizens. The plea is for us to stand up for what is right and work for what must be done, and stop being deceitful people and hiding when at the end of the day, your life is in danger, that you don't know when your shot will call. when we encourage things like these. So I'm saying to us, the time has come that we need to ensure these scourges that are coming on society. Provide us with the information. I was very fortunate that only yesterday I journeyed to the Eastern Division, my other area of responsibility, where I was able to commend 4 officers who were able to find an AR-15 automatic weapon and over 100 rounds of ammunition and remove it from our state, our area. 17 years old, a young boy. And I went to Eastern Division yesterday to offer congratulations and to commend these officers for their hard and dedicated work in eradicating our streets of all those ammunitions which each one of them can take the life of our dearly beloved citizens. Tobagonians, we cannot afford that type of violence. We are not a people like that. And therefore, I'm asking you to rise up against the criminal elements. We need the churches, we need the school, we need the business communities, we need everyone, we need the fishermen. You all have a responsibility because your profession is being targeted, that many people are encroaching in your space as the true fishermen who are fighting out there to bring fish ashore. And there are people who are proposing themselves as fishermen and are fueling the trade of bringing firearms and ammunition on our land. And therefore, we need to put the fight against all these situations in ensuring that we bring this scourge to an end. We can't sit down there, the police can't be everywhere. And therefore, our partnership approach has started. Today,
I want to just thank you. You know, time is of the essence here. We're all out of time, so but this segment was a really interesting and informative segment. You know, hopefully, you know, we can bring you on more often as we continue to have these types of discussions because they are very important to us here and even to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So thank you once again, Mr. Hazel, for joining us this morning on this Friday morning. And so viewers, that was ACP Cullis Hazel. Katie, what are your thoughts on that interview? I find it was very informative.
Very informative. I think that's definitely the word to describe it. A lot of things that we did not know. I mean, he spoke about the vehicle situation.
Yes.
If somebody had some issues with their vehicle before and they sign it over to you, you have to be very careful with that kind of thing. So I think education is key. I think that's what we should take out of this interview. Education is key. There are a lot of things that we don't know in terms of the road safety in Trinidad and Tobago.
And we would have seen that when the licensing officers were here, a lot of the drivers would have said, I didn't know that this was wrong, I did not know. Not that they were saying that, you know, they want to do it or they should be right. They started their statement with, I did not know. So it will be really important if, you know, here in Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, we can educate our population so they can know the rights from the wrong and not have to learn it when they're receiving a ticket. So yeah, Haley, that was a really, really great interview. And I really look forward to seeing more of ACP Cullis Hazel here.
Yeah, I think he's doing an excellent job.
Yeah, he is. He's doing an excellent job, you know.
Definitely.
Other people would have said excellent, but
yeah, I think he's excellent.
He's actually
he deserves the excellence.
All right, so viewers, thank you so much for joining us here this morning on this Friday afternoon. You know, for those of you who are going and drive out this afternoon, going to the bars, you know, on Friday morning, you know. I'm so ready for the Friday afternoon vibes. Yes, I'm ready for the Friday afternoon vibes. But for those of you who will be driving over to bars, driving to check up on friends, just be careful, be aware of your surroundings and be safe. I don't want to hear any sad news this weekend, guys. Just please be safe. Remember to stay close to the people that you love. Stay close to God. Once again, I am Luke Trim.
And I am Kaylee Lewis. This is
Friday. It's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday. All right, viewers, so we'll be heading over to Tobago Notes at this moment. So thank you once again for joining us. Take care.
Bruce is a visually impaired mother of 2. She's overwhelmed with joy and gratitude now that she has a home to call her own. Thanks to the Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development Social Housing Initiative, home ownership made equal. Home.
I feel blessed. Blessed. I'm having a lot of mixed emotions, but it's a wonderful thing to have a place to call home.
I feel very happy since we come out of the situation that we used to be in, and that we can live a happy and a comfortable life.
To the occupiers, you will have a top quality and lightweight steel structure. It is low cost to purchase. In fact, we estimated that one home, we don't want any of these homes in the social program to go beyond $450,000. This one came in under $400,000. This structure is seen here. The foundation took 3 days to complete, and the house itself took 18 days to complete. 21 days in total, and we had a completed home.
Every development that has lands available will be given out by Secretary George and I. Everyone. And not only in these old developments, but in the new developments that are to come. That is our mandate, to provide affordable housing to our citizens. Housing is a must. It builds you socially. It has a social impact on you. We have to provide for those who are less fortunate.
Miss Bruce is the first recipient from the home program. There are plans to provide more houses for other vulnerable, low-income people in the future.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
And welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates, guys. You know, whenever you see me here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have, and I'm about to ask the questions that you want to ask. And this morning, I have the privilege of sitting with someone who I've sat with a number of times before. We have a number of interesting conversations, this morning, particularly, we're talking about what's happening on the legal front. So good morning. This morning, I have Mr. Gary Griffith, who is the former Commissioner of Police. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning to you, and good morning, Tobago.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. It's always a very interesting conversation. This morning, we're talking about some legal issues that you would have had with this current administration. We know that you have been battling with them since you left office in regards to a number of things. Recently, we saw that they had, tried to impede on your personal finances and a number of other things that keep coming to the forefront, and we're going to talk about them this morning. But first, we want to start off with one of the headlines that has been circulating yesterday and today, which is that case that you had with the Express newspaper, where the court ordered you to pay their legal fees because it upheld the argument of the Express that they were arguing on the Reynolds justification for the media. So tell us a bit about that case. A lot of persons don't really know what that case was about. We know it was about a number of articles that they had posted in the newspapers that you had opposed. So tell us a bit about those articles.
Yeah, sure. So what happened, that article by the Express was the catalyst that started the tsunami of wrong information, misleading information being put out to the public and causing politicians to write that false information. So it was a headline article that was published by Trinidad and Tobago Express stating gun scandal, and it had to do with the distribution of firearms to law-abiding citizens from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So the article had a front page on Sunday stating gun scandal, and then it stated that firearms were being given to citizens who had criminal charges, which cannot and should not be done. Firearms were being given to men who had reports of abusing their spouse and had criminal charges against their spouse, and the spouse did not approve it. And also that certain persons were paying large sums of money as bribes to get firearms. When this came about, I did all the research, and we found not a shred of evidence, no witness, no documents, no support on it. But Trinidad and Tobago is one thing. When you say the same lie over and over, people would believe it. And then the politicians picked up on it. So what this did, this article was obviously not just to, it affected my character, my reputation, my image, but also that of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. I built public confidence and trust in the police service at 14%. I got it. I left it at 55%. And it is things like this that can affect the image and the confidence that the public will have in the police service. So rightfully, I had to take them to court on my behalf and also on behalf of the reputation of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Taking them to court, the three persons went on the witness stand, and not one of them, when they asked, show us any evidence, any data, any documents, anything to show that persons were receiving firearms with criminal records. Nothing. They could find nothing. Show us any documents, records, evidence, data, witnesses of men who received firearms with reports of abusing their spouse. Nothing. They had nothing they could show. Show us any reports of persons paying bribes. Nothing. So basically, they lied. And that was what my case was about. That the Express had lied, they misled the country, and it was defamatory. The court agreed that it was defamatory. What the court stated, however, this was Justice Jacqueline Wilson, who happened to be the same judge that had thrown out the matter pertaining to the local government election that was supposed to take place. And she said when it is that Mr. Adam Ramlogan took this matter as the lead attorney to court, she's the same judge. And she said that in this matter, that she saw it as responsible journalism, because even though it was a lie because they were not able to show it, that she believed that the reporters did their research expecting that what they published was true. And she then said it was in the public's interest, even though everything that was said was not true. It was in the public's interest for it to be printed because it gave me because I had the opportunity to reply. But the two main things that came out of it is that it was agreed it was defamatory, and when the Express was given the opportunity to show it, they were not. So as much as there was Reynolds privileges, which gives it's a window of opportunity where the person, even though you defame the individual, you can actually be protected from defamatory costs. But my main thing was to show that it was defamatory and to expose the fact that the Express lied and misled the country because they were not able to provide a shred of evidence as it pertained to their false accusations.
Well, excellent. You answered my question that I was going to ask you there.
Sorry, I will be taking this back to the appeal, and I'm very sure that this I will be appealing this, and I'm very confident that we will win this because it is I don't want to go into the court details. But a matter like this, we've done all the research, and we will win this appeal.
Excellent. Well, as I was saying before, you answered a number of the questions that my follow-up questions there in regards to that Reynolds privilege and the fact that the the judge indicated that she felt it was responsible journalism, even though a number of the things that were posted was not true. But she felt that it was balanced in that you were able to respond to a number of the accusations. So you were able to basically debunk some of the things that were put out there in the newspaper. Well, we look forward to hearing how this case evolves as you appeal it. And we wish you all the best with that. However, you also had another matter in the court yesterday. So tell us about that, which was against the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley.
Yeah, there have been several matters. And in fact, I am not the only one. What we have noticed is that the government is what they're doing is trying to control independent institutions and institutions that are not supposed to be controlled by the state, by the politicians, be it the Police Service Commission, the Office of the Commissioner of Police, the FIU, the SSA, and each institution, politicians are using these institutions to target political opponents. It started with myself as Commissioner of Police. And it's only in this country that the country has not just stood up and said enough is enough. And in most developed countries, this government would have collapsed because of incompetence, corruption, mismanagement, abuse of power, dictatorship. And it started when it is a prime minister could tell a commissioner of police, I am giving you $45 million to go into your police account, and this is to be used solely to target political opponents. Now, that is madness. And, we accept this because so many mistakes take place weekly and dropping off the ball by this government, we just go on to something else. But just hear that. A government tells a commissioner of police, we are supposed to fund you, but this $45 million we are giving you must be used solely to investigate political opponents so that they could be arrested. Now, that is madness. And we accept this. And sometimes the most diehard PNM supporter, how could you actually agree to something like this? So what they started doing is obviously because of my personality, when it is that I refuse to be used politically by any politician in any political party because I sworn oath to my God, my country, and the citizens of this great country, they realized that, and then they realized, okay, if Gary is leaving, we have to discredit him. And that is where all sort of different things came about. So it started with they're trying to put an audit committee because they launched all type of investigations, again, starting from that Express article that was full of lies, and they could find nothing because there was nothing. And again, this government has forced the police to spend more time investigating legal firearms than illegal firearms. So what they did is when they realized that there was nothing to be found, they said, let's operate just like what we did in Emailgate. So you hire civilians, take these civilians, put them into the police service and tell the civilians you are to do an audit to investigate firearms in the police service. And then the Prime Minister then boasted that when he gets the report, he is going to Parliament to say it. Now, we know why Parliament is the reason. Parliament is the one place where politicians can lie, discredit persons, and not have to pay the price for defamation. So I obviously took this to court because to start with this audit committee, these guys were so incompetent, they didn't understand the first thing you do in an audit is to speak to the person who was in charge of the company that you're auditing. They never spoke to me. So under natural justice, obviously it fell flat. The court also said it was very irrational for how the Prime Minister operated. They were questioning the actions of the Commissioner of Police, which was McDonald Jacob, to allow civilians to come into the police service to investigate matters of the police. And then what the court did rightfully is that the audit, they actually prevented the Prime Minister from doing what he wanted, which was to reveal it in Parliament. And I said, shouldn't people say that there's something to hide? No, I want Keith Rowley to come and say anything about me in public, but he can't because that is where he's a coward. He wanted to hide in Parliament to say it. So I won that matter. And there was an injunction filed, and I won that as well. And then there was a recent matter with the FIU, where the FIU, as a financial independent body, is supposed to monitor the finances of persons if there's a red flag activity by that individual. There was never any red flag activity by me. If it is that people wanted to see my accounts, they could knock their socks off. But do not dig up into the accounts of myself and my wife, and you're digging up in it in the hope that you can find something. That is not how these institutions are supposed to be. It is not to be used as a fishing expedition to witch hunt in the hope that you can find something. But obviously they were working again on instructions of politicians. So again, I took them to court and the injunction was upheld. There's another one that is also coming soon, where my phones are also being illegally intercepted by the law enforcement agencies who are working for their political employers. And you cannot intercept phones of persons unless there's due process, there's just cause, and there's some justification that the person is involved in some act, and there wasn't. So that is where it is. All of these matters continue to go to court. We continue to win. The most recent, obviously, would have been the Privy Council ruling about with local government election, because the criminal justice system, or the judiciary, I should say, is the one arm of our independent institutions that have not been controlled, manipulated by this government. Because if it is you do that, what we have right now is one man handpicks the president, the chief justice practically, the president of the Senate, the speaker of the House, the chief of defense staff, the commissioner of police, all of the service commissions, because he selects the president who then selects those people. That is dictatorship. And we have to be very careful to understand what is happening in this country. So by me going to court and winning my matters and other persons doing the same, what we are doing is putting a hold and stopping this government from being involved in what can be stated as democratic dictatorship.
Right, and so with that ruling, the High Court ruling in regards to the local government election, what can we really see coming out of that? What are the consequences for the decision to delay the local government? What can we see?
Well, again, what it shows, again, is the concept of this government feeling that they could do what they want, whenever they want, say what they want, and nobody can say anything. What makes it even more unfortunate is every time they lose a matter in court, this Attorney General has now proven to be the most incompetent ever. He has the audacity, and he looks at certain words, like even with my matter, with the audit, there was an injunction. I filed for an injunction, and we won. And he actually said the fact that they won. We went to court and we said it must not go to Parliament. We won the matter because they said it could not go to Parliament. And the Attorney General does a press release to say they won. The FIU matter, where we filed an injunction. So, and then this matter, yet again, he speaks now as if they won. You lost again. And then what makes it worse is that you're throwing veiled threats to the media, to citizens, to be careful as to what you say about this matter, because you can be charged for contempt. So the Attorney General is now operating as a prosecutor, trying to threaten members of independent institutions yet again. And it shows where we are with this government. They feel that they can bully people, say what they want, threaten individuals, and the country is scared. There are tens upon tens of thousands of persons who are supporting this party that I lead presently as the National Transformation Alliance. And they are mortified because of victimization, because of accusations, because of political manipulation of certain rogue elements in the police service, as we saw with the Brent Thomas matter, which that was another court matter lost again by the government, by the state. So this matter now with the Privy Council is a government basically trying to state, we are telling you, the citizens, that your constitutional right to vote, something that is enshrined in our constitution, we are telling you, we will tell you when it is that we are ready to allow you to have your right to vote. That was madness. And because this was sent by someone to the Privy Council ruled that it was wrong. So the government has failed yet again. And what it has exposed is the fact of that democratic dictatorship, where certain things in our constitution, your right to vote, your right to select who must represent you, whether it is in parliament or regional corporations, you have these politicians stating that we can control the constitution and override it because we are in power. And that is something that is very serious. And what I am hearing now is that they will, even though what the Privy Council has stated, they are going to find an excuse to delay it still till probably about December. And that shows total lack of respect, a slap in the face to even the Privy Council and to the citizens of this great country, that after the citizens are demanding that you have the local government election, the Privy Council has filed a ruling telling you that you were wrong, you are still going to try to find an avenue to delay it. And you know why? Because their polls are showing that they are going to be annihilated. And if you get annihilated in the local government election, it's time to call a general election.
Right, and that leads to my next question as we wrap up this morning's interview. What can we look forward to with you and the National Transformation Alliance in the upcoming local government election?
Well, you know, there are several political parties, and they speak and they do these press conferences and they talk a lot. And then when elections come about, they back off. That means you're an activist group, nothing more, nothing less. And that is important. There's nothing against that. The NTA, we are definitely not an activist group. We are a political party. So if there's an election, we will participate in that election. And again, our main aim is to ensure that we put an end to this type of democratic dictatorship. We have an individual full of hate, arrogance, his ego has, and again, looking at what just happened recently, when I offered my services to help this country to try to reduce one extra murder, to make citizens feel safer, you have an individual who says, basically, I don't care what the country wants. I don't care what is right for the country. My ego, my arrogance, my hatred, my bitterness takes precedence. And if it is that the country drowns in blood, so be it. And people actually applauded that. So it means that the people who applauded that, when this man said that, you're basically saying, well, I know it could affect my daughter being raped, my son being kidnapped, my husband being murdered, but the head of my political party says so, so I will applaud, like, you know, those trained SEALs in Orlando and SeaWorld. And that is unfortunate. I ask the citizens with an election pending, you need to vote for what is right for the country, what is right for your family, what can make it easier for you to make your standard of living better. And the same way that I was able to transform what was arguably the most difficult arm in the public service, that being the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, I promise you we are going to transform every single arm in the public sector with an NTA being in government or part of government. So we obviously would be taking part. As I said, I ask the country to be very aware of what they are seeing in this type of democratic dictatorship by this government. The individual who leads this country, he really doesn't care. Just for information, I have actually been liaising with Tobago, and the same way that I offered my services to assist the central government, and it was rejected because of their arrogance, and they rather see the country drown in blood and do what is right for the country, I would be offering similar services to Tobago, because when I was Minister of National Security and then Commissioner of Police, it was the lowest number of crimes that you would have seen. Tobago felt safe because there were dozens upon dozens of initiatives, policies, programs, units that I put in place there in Tobago to make it safe. And the Tobago House of Assembly, they have the opportunity to be able to implement policies that the law enforcement agencies can then operationalize to make life difficult for the criminal elements in Tobago. So you'll hear about that in the very near future.
Right, and recently we saw in the headlines that the current Commissioner of Police has seen a 10% increase in killings during her time. However, she claims that there has been a 17% reduction in serious crimes. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it is mind-boggling. Listen, since I was minister, I've always seen this where people try to play with numbers. You remember Martin Joseph? He said there was a decrease in the increase in crime. The murders are the catalyst for when it comes to measuring the performance of a commissioner of police or even the government. And the fact of the matter is that Ula Christopher inherited the highest spike in crime in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, thanks to the incompetence of McDonald Jacob, who decided to shut down and dismantle almost every single thing that I put in place. So it is going to be very difficult for her to take that battle and to change it. But she is not doing anything different. She's operating in the same administrative manner as McDonald Jacob and Stephen Williams, that old type of policing. Things to be dynamic, out-of-the-box thinking, using technology, 21st century policing, predictive policing. They are not doing this. You have an ACP in Tobago where he is saying the right things and he is speaking a different language to Ula Christopher. And if you listen to it, you will see that. I'm not here to compare, but what I can say is that there's good hope for Tobago in the comments that are being made by Mr. Hazel. He seems to understand the type of policing that I was doing. And if it is, he can get that support from the THA and the public and the citizens in Tobago, Tobago will be in a much better place. As it pertains to Ula Christopher, as I said, she does not have the capability in being operational, strategic, tactical to deal with law enforcement, hard targeting, policing. That she doesn't know. And that is why so far she has not been able to state one thing, not one policy to be able to reduce crime. You've heard about prayers, about tea parties, and also everything else. Not one policy. You're hearing a lot from Mr. Hazel. So as it pertains holistically for Trinidad and Tobago to reduce crime under Ula Christopher's watch, it is very dim. Under Tobago, it is hope that what Mr. Hazel is stating and what he intends to do can actually bear fruit if it is that he gets the support from the citizens in Tobago and also that of the THA.
And thank you so much, Mr. Griffith. Thank you for giving us your time here, and thank you for always keep in touch with us here at Tobago Updates again. Thank you, guys. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
Are you looking for a place for your loved ones? Heavenly Care welcomes you. Located at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors, we offer a variety of services. These include doctor visitations, social activities, geriatric care, and much more. Contact us at 277-9595 or visit us at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors. At Heavenly Care, compassion is at the heart of all care.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
The Glamorgan Youth Foundation presents The Trials, May the 21st, a packed day of events. The day starts with a triathlon, swim, ride, run, then it's off to an obstacle course. Ready yourself, you know? Then it's bamboo raft races. Hear me now, everything bamboo. And it's down the Great Dog River and lots more. It's boats, it's cars. So are you registered? For further information, contact us at 776-9193 or on Facebook, Glamorgan Youth Foundation. Is your team ready for the Glamorgan Youth Foundation, The Trials?
We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we're stronger.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, as we jump right into our next conversation, I have the privilege of chatting with Mr. Gordon Grandison, who is the PRO of the Glamorgan Youth Foundation. That's the guy you just saw in that very creative ad there, and we are talking about the GYF Regatta, the trials. Good morning, Mr. Grandison, and how are you?
I'm fine. Good morning to you and good morning to the whole of Tobago. Yes.
Excellent. Well, first, let me commend you on a very creative and enthusiastic ad campaign that you guys are running there at the Glamorgan Youth Foundation. And tell us a bit about the Glamorgan Youth Foundation and what type of work you guys have been doing.
Well, I'll go right into it. The Glamorgan Youth Foundation is basically a youth group tailored to address the social issues faced by the young people and the challenges faced by the young people of today's community, right? We try to keep the youth occupied in activities within the community, right? And partner with other groups also to complete projects, right? Presently, we are working on a community tourism project that we want to take this weekend to really showcase to the whole of Tobago. Right, because it's been a while we've been at it in that form, right? We have been coming together as a community and doing some work with the natural resources we have available to us, and we want to take this weekend to just present it to the whole of Tobago, right? So basically, the Glamorgan Youth Foundation is a youth group dedicated to doing anything positive when it comes to rehabilitation of the young generation of Trinidad and Tobago.
Excellent. And tell us a bit about how this regatta came about.
Well, the regatta was basically, the idea was basically to use an event to highlight some of the disabilities and things affecting us in our community, right? Also in recognizing with the natural resources we have to offer to the tourism community. We wanted to take this opportunity to present it then, if you understand what I'm saying.
And so the event is taking place this weekend, right? Tell us a bit about the
we've been
time
working
and date
along with
where persons can gather for the event. So it says that it's on Sunday the 21st of May. So tell us a bit about the time that it's starting and everything.
Yes.
Mr.
May
Grandison.
21st will be in May on the start of the day at 7 a.m.
Excellent.
Right?
You were having a bit of a technical issue there, but I see that you guys are starting off on Sunday, the 21st of May, and that starts off at 7 a.m. There's a triathlon, there's an obstacle course, and there's a bamboo rafting race. And guys, if you want to get connected or you want to be a part of the session, you can contact Mr. Joel Dan at 375-3835. That's Mr. Joel Dan at 375-3835. Or you can contact Mr. Gordon Grandison, who I was just chatting with there briefly. And you see the route on the screen. This is where the triathlon is going to be taking place. As I said before, there's going to be a triathlon, obstacle course, bamboo rafting, and the regatta is going to be this Sunday, guys. This Sunday, and it starts off at 7 a.m. So there's a call for the loudest car sound system as well as the fastest boat. So there's a lot happening in Glamorgan this weekend. And guys, you can see on the screen here, this is the route that you would be asked to be on to compete in the competition. And I wish that we could have gotten back Mr. Grandison for him to tell us about some of the prizes. However, guys, if you want to find out more about this regatta, the trials, and unforgettable experience, be sure to reach out to them. Their contact information, again, you can contact Mr. Grandison, and his contact number is 776-9193. So, guys, this is on Sunday. Don't miss it. It seems very interesting. And you see, the thing is that we always complain about the fact that there isn't enough activities happening on the island to do. And this is a really interesting one, to be active, to be engaged, get your groups, your clubs, your friends together and take part in this regatta. Let's support the youths as they do stuff to empower other young persons in their community. So guys, that's all we have for you for today. Thank you for joining us for a wonderful Friday morning, guys. I will see you on Monday. Be sure to enjoy your weekend. As the youth said this morning, thank God it's Friday. I don't know what you decide to do this evening, but whatever you decide to do, be sure that you are safe out there. Guys, again, thank you for making Tobago Updates the #1 broadcast station on the island of Tobago. Thank you for liking, sharing, and commenting. Again, I am your host, Chanel Felix. Thank you for having me.
A brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong.